What is going on, online fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives, Make Money Online Trainer Podcast. This is the #1 show for online fitness coaches who are trying to grow a successful online business. In today's episode, I'm joined by one of my 10K Mastermind students. This week, we're doing interviews with some of the studs in the mastermind, and this guy, the Italian Stallion, is one of the studs. What's up, bro?
What's up, man? Super pumped to be finally on here. I've been following this podcast for a very long time, so it's definitely it's an honor to be on here, man. And I like how you called me the Italian Stallion. That just gives me a little bit more leverage here.
Bro, that's how you start. You got to bring them in. You got to give them a rock star intro. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I feel good now. I feel good.
You're like, what do I do? There we go. What do I do now?
Yeah.
So Joey, man, Joey and I have been working together for probably, it's almost 2 years now. A year and a half? Has it been
it's about a year and a half. Yeah. So I believe I started in November of 2019. So about a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half. So dude, let's do a little bit of a backstory. I know who you are. I know you're the Italian Stallion, but the people that are listening have no idea, no context. So who's Joey G? Where are you from and what got you passionate into fitness? Let's just start there. Let's give people the background.
Hell yeah. So my name is Joe Granieri. All right. I was born and raised in New York, or New York, as they say. I was always an athlete in high school. So, I was born and raised actually playing baseball all of my life. I played basketball, football, everything you could possibly imagine. I was an athlete, right? But I never really fully understood the actual importance of taking care of my own health. And when I got into college, I really realized my actual passion for health and fitness as a whole, right? So I was super into the rehabilitation process of injuries because throughout high school and throughout middle school and whatnot, I suffered a lot of injuries, whether that was from tendonitis, whether that was from broken and fractured bones, right? I always was injured. I was just that type of kid. I'm sure a lot of people that know me could kind of say that, right? But yeah, I did. I had that kind of theme in my life, but I progressed throughout my life. And as I progressed as an athlete, I realized that taking care of myself through health and fitness was super fucking important to me. Super important to me. And what I realized was that rehabilitation was kind of the wrong path for me. Right? Because I fell in love with going to the gym, working on myself, not just physically, but mentally as well. And that's when I really realized it was the wrong profession. So that's when I decided to actually come home from college after I was away in college.
How old were you when you did this?
I was actually 20 years old.
Okay.
So 20 years old when I came home from college, and that's when I pursued my personal training certification. Actually, I was 19.
19.
Yep.
Yeah. So 19, initially you were going to do rehab, because it sounds to me like you kind of when you were younger, you got injured a lot. So that's kind of where you were leaning. But then at some point you realized that you could just prevent injuries in the first place. So instead of fixing them once they were there, it's like, why don't you just started working on yourself, and you're like, I'm just going to prevent them by being in good shape. And dude, that's funny. I actually didn't know that about you, that when you were younger, you got injured a lot, because I see you as the pinnacle of what it means to be functionally fit.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know that you.
Yeah, man. I struggled a fucking lot, dude. I was on the DL, as they say, a lot. But once I got into, I'd say, junior and senior year of high school, they started to diminish a little bit. And I think that was because I started really, really growing into my body. But that's when I started to take the strength and conditioning route. And I really understood that working out, getting stronger, getting my ligaments stronger, all of that really helped in preventing injury. I literally just did a podcast the other day on exactly that subject. Okay. That strength is what's going to prevent injuries, and that you really, really need to focus on that. So yeah, that was my passion.
I think fitness is super funny, because I do think a lot of fitness, for me at least, stems from my childhood. So I became super passionate about being aesthetic as possible. That was my business name, Aesthetic Nation.
Right.
But it's because I was the fat kid when I was younger. And so being the overweight kid when I was younger, I was when I was older, I wanted to be the most aesthetic. But and then it's for you, it's you were you got injured a lot when you were younger. And then as a result of that, you became super functionally fit and a strength and conditioning coach. I just think the irony is hilarious. I just love it.
It's all about your past, dude. Your past molds you into who you are now. That's just an absolute fact.
Okay. So, what was your, when you were growing up, what was your big dream or big passion? What was I want to do that?
Okay, well, to be honest, when I was super young, I wanted to be an MLB player, right? Who doesn't?
Mhm.
Everyone wants to play in the Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, I knew that that was a whole other level. Okay, and
Yeah.
once I got into
Yeah.
like beginning of high school, I'm like, all right, maybe this dream is not exactly a reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still loved obviously playing sports. So once I got my personal training certification, when I came home from college, I stopped playing collegiate baseball. And just to give a little backstory on that, the reason why I left college was because I was around a lot of shit. I was around a lot of partying and a lot of stuff that, not that I don't like to have a good time, because I do. However, I just had to get myself out of that situation. It
Mm.
was not a good situation. And I knew if I stayed there, I would not be sitting here talking to you right now because I would be in a different avenue in my life.
Mm.
So that's why I'm super grateful I left. I'm very, very happy I did that. But I think like once I really got my personal training certification, that's when I got my passion for being a strength and conditioning coach. And that's when I started working primarily with athletes.
So
So
you
I worked,
got your certification, and then what happened? So like you came home from college, you got your certification, and then what? Like what was the next step for you?
right. So then I got my personal training certification first, and then I got my CSCS, which is Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist,
Mhm.
just because I really wanted to work with athletes. Like
Mhm.
that was who I had my mindset on because I was always an athlete myself, right?
Mhm.
But what I did was I ended up working in two really big kind of named businesses in my area that were just working with teams, working with professional collegiate athletes, and I had a very good experience with it. However, over time, I realized that my true passion was not just in working with athletes. Like
Mhm.
I had a few of my own personal clients that I was working with, like general clientele. And fuck, like I just realized the relationship aspect of working with these clients was a lot. It was just a lot better and was more fulfilling. So that's why I followed that route more.
Mm. Cool. Okay, so you had JGF Fitness. Now JGF Fitness was your brand when you ended up kind of like you had your training certification, you started working with athletes, and then you started this brand called JGF Fitness. Um, I want you to talk about like the evolution of your training business because when me and you first started working together, bro, it was like you were doing a lot of in person, and it was through JGF Fitness.
Yep.
And when me and you first started talking, you're like, yeah, like I want to take this business online, but I'm not really sure how. Where did you start with JGF Fitness, which is Joey Granieri Fitness, where you first started, and then what did that transition in the online coaching space look like for you personally?
All right. So I love this question. I really do because I actually talk about this a lot because it's very important to kind of know where you came from and how fast you've grown, right? And for me, I've grown very fast within the 2 years, and that's just because I did what this stud over here said, and I do what I had to do. But as far as JGF, I'll be honest, it wasn't even a thought two
Mm,
years ago. Like
mm,
not even a thought. I wasn't even thinking about opening up my own thing. I had a few clients. I was still working in the strength and conditioning places, and I didn't really think that I could do it. And that came from that self doubt, which I'll talk about later.
mm.
But basically, JGF started as an in-person gym, so I had the opportunity. I was competing in CrossFit, so I made regionals twice, and I was very, very into the CrossFit space. So I was part of a gym, and my coach and the owner of the gym said, "Hey, listen, I have a back space that I know you are into training. Do you want to rent it out?" And I said, "Wow, well, all right, maybe this is my time to get into this and just take the leap of faith, right?" So I actually spent about I think $12,000 on equipment, all brand new equipment, and I
Crazy.
just and I just went all in. Okay, I took that leap of faith, and I said, "I'm going to open up my own spot."
How old
I
were you?
grew. I was 21.
That's
21.
respect to anybody listening at 21 years old to have that level of commitment is respect. Keep going,
Yep,
bro.
and I'll be honest, that was like all of my savings, right? That was everything. That
Yeah.
was everything that I had at that point. But I built that business, that little small group private coaching business, in the back of like a fucking. I had like 700 square feet. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I built it to about over 40 in-person clients,
Cool.
and I was doing very well. I really was. However, I started getting like, I wouldn't say bored with it, but I realized that the online space is just an opportunity to not only have more freedom in your life, but also be able to touch base with tons of other people from all over the world. So that was kind of the evolution of it. And then what happened was after I started working with you, I worked with you in November 2019. I worked with you till I think it was only like February. And then I stopped, or March. And then I stopped because COVID hit, right? So once COVID hit, I lost my gym, right? Gym closed down because the guy that owned it, he had to sell it. All right. So he sold it. He became a firefighter. And from then on, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, can I actually be an entrepreneur? Can I do this? Because at that point, I had lost almost all of my in-person clients. They all left. I had about like 8 or 10, people that really, really still wanted to work with me. So what I did was I actually got pretty lazy. Like I was playing golf every day and I really was. I was playing golf every day during COVID. And then I remember reaching back out to you, I believe in like the end of June or July. And I was like, yo, Brian, like I need to get back in the academy. Like I need to do this.
Yeah.
And then from then, man, I just pushed everything toward online. I got those 8 to 10 people that were with me in person. I moved all of them online. And then I just started from scratch.
Boom. Dude, and like that transition, first of all, anybody that like is listening to this right now, sometimes it's almost like there's a saying that goes like when you cut yourself off from something, or like it's like when you break an addiction. It's like when you break an addiction and you come back to that thing, it's like you're even more addicted or passionate about it in the first place. So online coaching, when you like took that break from it, you're like, it's almost like you took a break from something you're really passionate about and really excited about. And then that break when you were like golfing and chilling kind of made you realize you're like, I actually like really like online training and I like really want to get back into it. So like almost the second 100%. Time around just hooks you a little bit more. You know what I mean?
100%. And I was also thinking while I was golfing and I saw like fucking people like Don Lamb making all this money. And I'm like, come on, man. Like I could do half of that at least,
Yeah.
So
if I can do half of that, I'll be a happy person.
Yeah. So that's when I diminished my playing 4 to 5 times a week. And I decided let's play 1 time a week and actually build a fucking business. So
dude, that's what I'm talking about. So bro, like that was like in the academy. Now I want to now let's talk about the transition to the mastermind, because that's a completely different level. When you made the decision, so actually funny story about joining the mastermind, you told me you were going to join before I launched it. And then when I told you about it and I told you the investment, you're like, I'm in, like fucking, I'm in, like I've watched it, like I'm in, like no questions asked.
I'll be honest, dude. You could have said double the amount and I would have done it. So that's your loss. That's your loss. I would have been like, yeah, dude, here you go. Whatever you need, I got you.
The vote of confidence makes me super happy. So thank you for that. But bro, you came into the mastermind. We're talking about the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship. You came into the mastermind and it was like, you came in hot, bro. Like when you came in, it was like your first month in the mastermind, you made like $15,000. It was like 15 or 15.2 or something like that.
Yeah, it was. I think it was actually 14.9. I was very short.
Okay,
but yeah. So I mean, but when I came in September, right before we did that kind of October month of mindset, I think I was only making like 6.5, and the month before that, in August, I don't even think I hit 5K. So the amount of growth that I've had is just absolutely, it's insane, man. And it's all due to just that kind of mindset shift, which I'm sure we'll hit.
Yeah. So like, but when you first came in, it was like, okay, so you went from 7K to 14.9, which probably felt amazing. But then all of a sudden the next month happens.
Yep. And
I think you lost about 7 or 8 clients that were paying you recurring $400 a month. And your income went from, it was like, you went from like 10.3 recurring all the way down to like 5. It was like 5.5 or 6. And I remember you sent me a message and you're like, I'm fucking freaking out right now. Like I just lost half of my clients. Like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm panicking. Like I was making 10K a month and now I'm making 5K. I'm shook. Can you walk me through what that felt like to like literally lose like a third of your business like that?
Yeah. 100%.
During the mastermind?
Yeah. So, well, that was the scariest thing, it was during the mastermind. And even though it was only after the first month and I knew we had a ton of time left, like we're still in it right now, I just knew that, I still had to pay you, right? Like I had to do the investment and live up to my word. So I was kind of freaking out. I was, but as much as it was really discouraging, I'm really fucking happy it happened. Like, I'm actually super happy that that happened because
Before we get into that though, I want to talk about how it felt like, because you're downplaying it. Like, I want to know, like, what sort of thoughts were running through your head when it was happening? Like
that
when
I,
all the
that I couldn't,
when they were canceling on you, like, what were you thinking?
yeah, that I couldn't do it, that I couldn't do it. And I really think it was just self-doubt, right? And that what I said before is self-doubt is a very real fucking thing. And I'm sure every single person that's listening to this experiences that. And dude, I'm sure you do too,
I
right?
do.
You experience self-doubt 100%. So it was just the fact of, well, shit, am I not good enough? Like, why are these people leaving? I'm still getting them results. And they say they love the program and they're saying they love me as a coach, but they're fucking leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it? Like what actually had to happen? And I think, and by the way, I never deal with anxiety. Like, I'm the one, like, I'll be honest, I don't have anxiety, but that fucking month I had anxiety, like a lot of anxiety,
Yeah.
because I was like, holy shit, I just made this leap of faith. I'm in the mastermind now and all these people are playing at the next level and I'm getting screwed right now. I'm losing almost half of my reoccurring revenue in the blink of an eye. And I mean, literally a blink of an eye.
Yeah, it was like a week.
Snap your
Boom,
fingers.
boom, 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 boom. It was like a week.
Yep. And I didn't really ever find the actual culprit of it. However, that was the time. So just to give a little backstory, in August, actually in July, I signed a crap ton of clients because I started my business from scratch. Right, in July. So I had signed a crap ton of clients and I got my reoccurring to like 5 to 6K. So then what happened was I was only signing people for 12 weeks. Right. So in October, that's when their term was up, or in November, rather, that's when their term was up. So a lot of people were just falling off. Like, they were just falling off and they were like, listen, you did great. Thank you so much. And now I know how to do it myself. And I was looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, why the fuck are these people not re-signing? But guess what? That's exactly how I sell. Yeah. I sell by saying, you're never going to have to pay another healthcare professional again in your life because I know exactly what I do works. So guess what? It was working. It was working. I just came it was at a hard time because so many people were falling off at the exact same time.
Yeah, I totally get it. So me and you, I remember we got on a call. What did we end up doing on that call?
So we, first and foremost, we started the podcast. So I started my Busy But Fit podcast. I think I'm like 17 episodes in now. And it's been an awesome outlet to be able to do this because it gives me another platform to kind of just tell my story and give as much advice as possible. So Brian literally told me on the call, he's like, dude, you gotta chill the fuck out. Right. He's like, you gotta relax a little bit. He understood my pain, but that was the biggest thing. He's like, you gotta relax because entrepreneurship is full of ups and downs, full of ups and downs, and I know tons of people, even in the mastermind, that are making ridiculous amounts of money will say the same thing. One month they may be there, next month they may be somewhere else. And you can't always blame yourself for it. Of course, you have to look at yourself in the mirror, but at the same time, there's a lot of other factors that could be causing that.
Yeah, I really do think it's about like respecting the ebbs and flows. Yep. Like, and it's so fucking hard. And guys, even for me, I have to constantly remind myself of that. And to be completely honest, like I did that this month. I had to like tell myself to respect the ebbs and flows because December was like, everybody was signing up to learn how to grow their coaching business, and January is a little bit slower because it's like Christmas and like people are like recovering from money. So like I had to have that conversation with myself this month and be like, Brian, you need to respect the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship. Because I think that like, you're right, Joey, it is important to like look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, is there anything that I'm doing wrong? But if you stare at yourself in the mirror for too long, looking for something wrong, you'll find something. Exactly. And it might not even be wrong, but you're just looking for something wrong. So sometimes it's just
and then sorry, I just want to say too,
no, go ahead.
You overanalyze yourself, right? You overanalyze yourself. You're sitting there and honestly, it's just wasted time. It's absolutely wasted time. So what you need to do, and honestly, the best thing that came out of that bad month, I guess you could say bad month, quote unquote, and I still made fucking 9K, but that's besides the fact, is just really that I got my systems more in set. So I
Yes.
was able, so some positives are able to come out of that, which is good.
Dude, and you started your own podcast. And for me, I think
Yep.
it's about like when you're in a, like, it's like sometimes it's like flowing and sometimes it's ebbing, right? We're calling the ebbs and flows. And when you're in like a down time, are you noticing that it's like not as like crazy busy? Instead of spending all of your time and energy lead genning, which is what most of us do, right? Like if we're like, if it's not working, we're like, oh, fuck, I need a lead gen for like 8 hours a day. Instead of doing that, like, I think it's about finding creative and clever ways to break through. So for Joey, literally on the call, I was like, bro, we're starting a fucking podcast and we're starting it like next week.
Yep.
And you're going to start recording your podcast and you're going to put it up. And like, we're going hard with that starting next week. Cause that's going to be like, that was the momentum that you needed, right? Because everything else in your business, you were like, oh shit, it's not working. But then that was it, right? That was what we needed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's already at 1,500 downloads. Guys, just saying, I'm going to do a little advertising on here as well.
Yeah, dude, tell them. Where do they find you? Tell them. Shameless
busy. Yeah, Busy But Fit podcast, guys. So follow me on Spotify and Apple as well.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And like, and dude, I think the coolest part about that is we just created something that's like, so you went from that, somebody just said it's a great listen. So you went from like, you know, having the quote unquote worst month to breaking through, starting your own podcast. It's at 1,500 downloads. Also, just for the audience listening right now, you're 23 years old. How much have you made so far in January?
So I just made a sale before this actually happened inside the Better Body Academy. So I'm at 16.1 right now. So
16.1K.
I think I'll make 20. I think I'm going to push. I'm going to push this week. And I think I'm going to make 20.
$20,000 a month at 23 years old. Man, it's like, that's it. That's a dream come true. And that wouldn't have happened, bro, if you, and I know you wouldn't have quit because I know who you are. But just for those of you guys that are tuning in right now that are thinking about quitting, I want you to understand that like, if you're in an ebb right now, like you're around the corner from a flow.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I mean, it's, and again, guys, once you get momentum, like think about that, right? As soon as I started getting momentum, shit became easy. But guess what? That momentum is going to get cut down again. It's just gonna, that's the point of what we're trying to talk about here. However, you have to get over that hump. You have to keep pushing. If you fold during that bad time, like if I folded when I fucking lost all my clients or when I totally started my business from scratch again, I would be nowhere near where I'm at right now. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole thing is like, there's going to be ups and downs and you have to push through the downtimes.
So Joey, for you, like, what did that month teach you? What would you say is like the biggest lesson that you took away from that month?
Biggest lesson, I would say to find ways that you can, I guess, kind of outlet your, so for me, it was more of just doing that podcast, right? Starting that podcast, finding another way to get my income back to where it needed to be and to start attracting more clientele in this space. And how can I different myself? Yes, tons of people have podcasts, right? However, I knew that my voice was a little bit different than other people's, right? So that was a great outlet. Like, that's why I thank you so much for doing that. It's like, that's the lesson here is it's like finding other ways to get yourself back into that flow. Because for me, I was out of the flow. Right. And I had an ebb. And then from there on, then I found what my passion was. And it's like, okay, this is it. This podcast is the answer now. And now I could start fresh and start getting back into my rhythm.
Dude, that's so good. Find ways to get back to your flow. I love that. What would you say, like, how did it feel to come out on the other side of that? Like once your podcast started popping off and your income came back to the way that it like was like how did it feel to come through that adversity and come out on the other side of it?
Dude, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the best thing about all of this, you know, is just now not having Jgf anymore and being inside the Better Body Academy with Jay Stewart. It's a fucking dream come true. I mean, we're helping people from all over the world. And it's just amazing that thank God I pushed through that. Right. And I pushed through that because I feel amazing now. It's like, you know, I'm helping people from Australia, Canada. I'm fucking going to Maui, Hawaii in freaking March for 2 weeks. Like,
let's go.
It's just awesome. Yeah. It's awesome that I'm able to do this kind of stuff, man.
Dude, that's fucking fire. Okay. So there's some academy students that are listening to this podcast right now that are thinking about the mastermind or that they might have applied for the mastermind. They're like, you know, they're doing good. They're at 3 to 5 to 7K a month right now. Mastermind's opening up next month. What would you say to those academy students that are listening to this right now that might be thinking about joining the mastermind?
Well, as Chad Morgan always says it, guys, just fucking do it. Like literally just like I can't even explain to you, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sure Brian wants to hear it. Like, just fucking do it. Like, honestly, you know, and I get it. If you guys have families and everything, I understand. I'm not in that situation, so I get the burden financially it may be causing you. However, if you want to get your business to that next level, and I don't just mean financially, I mean mentally, then it's a no-brainer, because you could be coming into the mastermind making 15K, and that's all good and well, right? You're crushing it in the academy. However, the mastermind plays at a whole other level, guys, like a whole other level. And it's all about the mindset. It's all about how you can initiate that next level inside of you. Like, I still struggle with some mindset stuff. I believe, like, not even 3 weeks ago, we were talking about my morning routine and how I need to be hitting it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I fixed that shit and I feel great. So invest in the mastermind, not only if you are making a shit ton of money already, or if you're not, it's going to get you playing on a whole other level.
Bro, let's go. Let's go. And the best part is we got one more month together, dude. I love it.
Yeah. I think also another really, really good thing to take away is the connections, guys. It's the connections. Of course, you're making some great connections inside the academy. If you're listening to this and you're already inside the 10K Academy, you're going to make good connections, but it's totally different. Like, I had tons of people that I knew from the academy, and being in the mastermind, it's just opened up a ton of new doors. Like, for example, working with Jay Stewart now, that would have never happened if I wasn't in the mastermind with him, ever.
Yes.
That would have never happened, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? This opened up a whole new thing, and now we're fucking literally at almost 200 clients. So it's insane.
That's 200 high ticket clients, by the way.
High ticket.
Not low ticket clients, high ticket clients. That's the best part. Bro, this was fire. One more time, where do they find you, bro? On Instagram and your podcast?
Cool. So Instagram is at Granieri Fitness, no spaces. And then the podcast is Busy But Fit Podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Boom. Guys, that's it. That's all. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got value from today's episode, you can leave the podcast a rating. Go to the podcast episode, scroll all the way to the bottom. You can leave me a star rating and a written review. If you leave me a written review, I'll give you a shout out on the podcast. Peace, love, protein. We'll talk to you guys in the next episode.